Now, it takes something quite dramatic to shake the PDP's battle-hardened political landscape. After all, the party presided over the affairs of this country for 15 years. But the resignation of the former governor of Imo State and former deputy speaker of the House of Representatives, Chief Emeka Ihedioha, a man who, at the peak of his career, helped to steer the affairs of the party at the state and national levels and was both a founding member and member of its board of trustees, has become something of a political bombshell. And coming at a time when the PDP is carrying deep wounds from previous internal battles, the party has been left in some disarray, at least in Imo State, if not at the national level. And it's not clear who can steady the ship. But it's not just the PDP that's in a bit of a muddle. The other main parties are also mired in their own internecine battles, and Mr. Ihedioha must be mindful of the potential risks to his career of casting himself politically adrift. And so, apparently, he's convinced a large number of PDP members in Imo State to also resign. And today, they launched a new platform, the Rebuild Imo movement, which they say they hope to use to entrench democracy in Imo State.
What we did was to come and tell the world why our principal, Right Honorable Emeka Ihedioha, left the party. The reasons have been profiled and they're all in this document which will be handed over to you. And to tell Imo that we have all collapsed into the Rebuild Imo movement to pursue our ideals, which is engendering good governance in the state and indeed Nigeria. No, it's not a new party. No, it's an association of like minds. It's a movement. Okay. All of us who belong to His Excellency's political family and those who are interested in engendering good government in Imo State have all followed the resignations, and immediately after the resignations, we all collapsed into the Rebuild Imo movement.
Well, for more on his decision to resign from the PDP and where his political career goes from here, I'm suitably delighted to say that I'm joined now in the studio by the former governor of Imo State, Chief Emeka Ihedioha, CON. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you very much, Charles.
It took everything to bring you here.
Charles, I gave you my word that,
yes. And you kept your word. So I want to thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
We'll talk about the Rebuild Imo movement a little bit later in this conversation, but first let's talk about your resignation. Did you jump or were you pushed?
Thank you, Charles. It was something that was bound to happen. Insofar as the tendencies operating the party remained there. For quite some time, the warning shots were very clear. Just before the elections, yeah, there were issues, but it made sense for us to get into the election convinced to regain power at the federal level and number of states. But of course, a number of things happened. But after the elections, then the issues came to the fore. And quite a number of us called for needs for discussions and resolutions of issues that had arisen. Now, rather than addressing those issues and responding to the barrage of demands, what you kept seeing was a further drift to the desires of the people, which, like I stated, were very much inconsistent with the vision and mission of the founding fathers of our party, which I would say had the privilege of being a founding member right back in 1998. Then my capacity as Director of Publicity of the People's Democratic Movement. And so to see your party got to the point where we got to, and then we were on a descent that was very undesirable, I felt there was need. I mean, if you continued on that path, it might derail you as a person and then derail the intentions and, of course, your large followership. So acted essentially based on the desires of my large followership, and of course, my support base and my base back at home and nationally, who felt the party had lost its bearing, and there was need for us to forge ahead. We've been on it for quite a while.
Well, I mean, let me say that it was a bit of a surprise and a shock when that happened. I mean, certainly to those on the outside, yes, because I suppose for people on the inside, they might have been expecting it. But it's been said that as you yourself pointed out, the vultures had been circling for a while, and the people who wanted to take over power in Imo State using the PDP as their vehicle saw you as being in the way and did everything they could to block you from that power. So in a sense, you were forced to resign. Is that how it unfolded?
I couldn't have been forced to resign. Now, what happened was that PDP had stopped presenting itself as a party that could eventually form government. By their recent actions, it was obvious. Nigerians no longer perceive them. And as a policy is perception. Don't perceive them as a party ready to take over at the national or state level. In the last governorship election in the state, for us, that was our most dismal. I mean, PDP not winning one single local government area in Imo State. When in 2019 I ran, we didn't have one single member in the House of Assembly, but I led the party to victory. We won 13 seats in the House of Assembly, leaving the AA and AD with 8 and 6 respectively. And so and then I won the governorship then with close to 100,000 votes difference to the opponent. And then so coming just in 2023, you see dismal performance, and nothing is being done to get the party, positioned to get back power. So it became necessary that we took actions because, we saw operators of the party who are recalcitrant and averse to reasoning with opinion that will put the party back in the shape it was.
So it wasn't you or them who lost confidence in you. You were the one who lost confidence in them.
Imo people have huge confidence in me, as you can see from his
results. How can anyone lose confidence?
No, it's not possible. I mean, across the parties, across the people of Imo State, and of course, indeed, Nigerians, they know Ihedioha is a solid character.
So given all that, what damage do you think your resignation would or could do to the PDP?
Well, back home in Imo, I don't know when last it happened or if it ever did, that I resigned, and quite honestly, I never made calls to say I'm leaving the party. It was that morning when I felt, after my mom's memorial service on Sunday, on Monday, on Tuesday, I said I took my decision. In fact, my wife had traveled that morning. I just called her as she arrived at Abuja. I said, look, I'm taking this decision. And spontaneously, you see a deluge of people who are successful in different ways, who are political leaders across the 305 political wards and about 4,800 chapters in the political party resigning en masse. That speaks volumes. You couldn't have forced them. I couldn't have paid for that. It is a vote of confidence in me. It's a vote of confidence in what we believe in, a vote of confidence in our desire to get back our state, get democracy to work, and get a platform that can bring like minds together to pursue progress.
Well, we're going to come to what you intend to do next in a minute, but along that trajectory, you haven't defected to another party. You simply resigned from the PDP. But there's a lot of speculation about where things go from here in your political career. Where have you set your sights? Plans for your next move taking shape?
Charles, I'm still under 60, so I should be considered to be politically very active, and obviously I'll play politics. And I stated in my resignation letter from the PDP that I'll work with other forces to ensure we continue to enthrone and entrench democratic party. So yes, that is on. Consultations are ongoing. I'm discussing with a lot of friends. A lot of people called me to say what's next. And of course, different political parties desirous of forging a relationship with us.
Well, let's talk about those other political parties, because
too early in the day to talk.
Well,
about
it's
I represent a movement in the state.
Sure, no, I understand that. I'll talk about the movement, but let's just clear the air when it comes to
but there are several, how many political parties?
Well, I mean, it's been reported that you may be joining the APC.
Several political
it's been
parties.
suggested that it may be the Labour Party. Both parties are reported to apparently be reaching out to you. Is that a fact?
Charles, several political parties in the country have been reaching out to me. Ihedioha is a good brand, positive brand at that. Yeah, that's true. And so they are talking to me, they are talking to Bert. I have a political family. And for me, it's a we. It's not an I thing. And so we will continue to talk. We look at the issues, we look at local variables, and we look at the national political climate, and we take a decision what we consider the best at the very appropriate time.
But you can say with confidence that you are that much of a self-contained winner with your own winning structure.
Certainly, Charles, see, my political trajectory is very clear.
Right.
And I thank God that I have managed my polity well, which is not defined by greed. I have managed to be modest in my desires, working hard to ensure that the people matters most. So I think I'm in bed with the people of Imo State. I'm in bed with a large populace in this country who still find our values. Those are related with our different levels, be it in the PDP, the National Assembly, various fora. Talk to me and I absorb what they see and then distill it, and then we take a decision that we consider that will be in the best interest of the vast majority of our people.
Right, but beyond the confident talk, which is clearly coming from you at this point, and I mean, I don't think anybody would expect anything less, would it be fair to say that whether you admit it or not, your political future is now more precarious and unpredictable now that you've left the PDP?
No, it cannot. It can be unpredictable. I mean, it can be precarious.
Well, it is unpredictable.
No, yes, it can. Yes, it can be it can be precarious. I am whom I am, and Charles, I in 2020 January, I was taken out of office by the Supreme Court. I thank God. We still have life with us, and God has been kind and gracious to us. And so it wasn't precarious at that time. And so that we are still on our feet up till now. We thank Almighty God and thank the people of the state and Nigeria who have confidence in us. So we'll move from there. One thing I've done is I've resigned from the People's Democratic Party. And so we'll keep looking forward. Yes.
And you mentioned the fact that you were removed from office by a court. Since that time, you've watched politics, in a sense, from afar. What have you learnt about Nigerian politics since then?
Nigerian politics is evolving and will continue to evolve. Maybe challenging now, appearing unpredictable now, but I'm very confident that the future is brighter. And that's why I'm still active in politics. I am very certain that we'll get there.
And I mean, you've had, nobody can deny that you've had something of a distinguished career near the top of Nigerian politics. Obviously, as we said, that ended with your removal as governor of Imo State by a court. I mean, has your political career evolved the way that you expected, or have you been surprised by it?
Well, I must say, God has been gracious, I did say. Perhaps when I began politics, I didn't now get to this level, but I imagined that I needed to prepare myself for eventualities, and yes, I've had privileges and opportunities, and I think at each time I've been privileged to be in an office. I've made the best out of it. I've judiciously represented my people and discharged myself equitably.
And you haven't had the EFCC coming after.
be it as chairman,
coming after you,
be it as chairman of House Committee on Marine Transport, my records are clear. I mean, we had quite a distinctive career and got many bills passed and signed into law, be it as Chief Whip of the House of Reps, be it as Deputy Speaker of the House. And of course, for the 7 days I stood as Speaker, and then be it as Governor, we brought about confidence into governance for the people of our state. And I think we remain a positive reference point at times. I mean, when I chaired the House Committee on Constitutional Review, we came up with issues that would have redefined our nation. Unfortunately, our efforts didn't get to its conclusion because the president at the time did not sign the bills passed into law. cause to be very grateful to God. Very grateful to God, yes.
And as we mentioned previously, I don't mean to be banging on about it, your career was brought to an abrupt halt by what some of your supporters have called legal maneuverings. How much have those legal machinations affected or eroded your trust in the judiciary?
But just like most Nigerians, as I know, were shocked at the outcome of the judgment at the Supreme Court, but I'm a believer in the Nigerian system.
What was it about it that shocked you?
No, I won the election. I won the election clearly, and INEC had my name as the winner of the election up till November 11th, 2023, when the next elections took place. I mean, so for INEC, Ihedioha won the elections clearly with close to 100,000 vote margin, and so I didn't see where it was coming. But like I said, when you believe in the system in your country, all you say, to God be the glory.
So what is your strategic aim at this point in your political life? I know you've spoken broadly about building, helping to entrench democracy. I mean, you know, those are fairly broad words. I mean, what is your strategic aim at this point of your political life? What is your clear political ambition now?
Charles, I said, I am still under 60, nearing 60, and so I'm very much politically active. It's difficult to say this is what it is, but I think I will still be useful to the Nigerian nation and useful to my state, and will continue to work towards this. And I believe that this step I've taken is indeed a step towards that accomplishment.
People have described you as a very pragmatic politician.
Yes.
A politician with a lot of hindsight and foresight and insight. And so they watch you to see the parapraxis of your political movement, and they use that to kind of assess what is happening with Nigerian politics. And of course, you left the PDP. A lot of people now thinking, given your pragmatism, that it appears to be, the PDP dream appears to be conclusively dead. Do you believe that the party is effectively dead, or can it be resuscitated to what it was when it bestrode Nigerian politics and Nigerian power between 1999 and 2015? And would you ever be tempted to go back?
Well, factually, and like I said, politics is about perception. Most Nigerians today believe that PDP has not put itself in a position to take over power. It doesn't seem to be attractive to people back home in my state and back home in the southeast, where I come from. They've lost significant grounds because of the activities and actions of the operators at leadership level today, and that's a big problem. So when confidence is lacking, that is a major problem. Now, I do not know if the party will be able to put itself back, because when it gets to personalization of the desires of a people and the mandate of a political party, and its future becomes hazy, then I think it makes sense for one to begin to have to think twice about it. So for me, the PDP today has injured itself very significantly, and my letters spoke very volumes about my thinking of the party. It is important to begin to look forward. They need to regain confidence if they want to present themselves as a party that people look forward to. The founding fathers of our party had their mission clear: make the PDP a democratic party. Is it a democratic party today? It leaks many forms. I mean, PDP, for all intents and purposes, was a party after the hearts of several Nigerians, and the actions of the current operators of the party have remained consistently inconsistent with the vision and mission of the founding fathers. And so I leave it to them to move on. But Emeka Ihedioha has moved on, and it's interestingly, quite a lot of persons feel that the party has lost its focus.
So they were waiting for you to give them the trigger.
Well, I made my decision when I needed to make my decision. Like I said, guided by the desires of persons who mean so much to me in life and politics, our people back home, vast majority across political platforms. Yes.
I wonder how Atiku Abubakar, the former vice president of Nigeria, the most recent presidential candidate of the PDP, and someone who I'm told helped to boost your political career and is, in a sense, your principal.
Is it my boss? Yes.
How did he react to the fact that you've left the PDP? Because he's still in the PDP.
There's a time for everything, that is on. And I had discussions with him before I put in my letter. He felt, hold on. But it was important. I left when I did.
So he supported your move, did he?
I wouldn't say he did. I said he was surprised. He said, hold on.
Right. He told you not to.
Yeah, he said hold on and let's
talk.
He said, hold on and let's talk. And I said to him, sir.
You said, well, there's nothing to talk about.
I said, sir, there are issues. I was privileged to be at the National Caucus meeting on 17th,
right.
Wednesday 17th. And I made what I consider my valedictory speech to the caucus. And there was no point continuing to deceive myself. I'm pragmatic, like you said. I like to face issues the way they are. And I do not belabor the fact that things have gone really very wrong.
And has there been any official reaction to your departure from the PDP?
I wouldn't know.
Or you wouldn't care, really?
I wouldn't know. Charles, what is important today is we're putting our people together,
right?
Just to ensure that we have a sense of direction.
Okay, let's talk about those people that you're putting together. Rebuild Imo movement. Tell us about that.
No, Charles, I represent hope to many. It's very
maybe
obvious.
That's a wrong choice of words, given who's the governor, who's the governor of Imo State at the moment. He's your political opponent.
As governor, I set a number of things aright in Imo.
Right.
As governor of our state, we were able to give autonomy to local governments. We brought significant reforms, ease of doing business in Imo. We were able to get transparency at focal point. We restored, we reduced the rural-urban migration because we now made local governments to begin to function. We got sanitation back to the state. We looked at education. We looked at the health sector. We looked at different facets of government. But most importantly was that we gave words to civil servants to say they were being paid 70% of their salary when I came in. And I gave my word that will give you, restore 100% salary. We did. Pensioners are not paid. We began to pay pensioners. And several other things. So you have a people who have felt you. And they've seen you in action. That's why they call me Omenke Ahuranya. What that means that I do what people see. So it's a case of talk and do. And we have a large support base. And these are not just, figments about, today, we talk about 5,000 leaders, former governors of the states. One former governor, deputy governor.
Well, I saw a fairly lengthy list.
Former ministers.
Although obviously I couldn't check every person.
Members of House of Reps, the two senatorial candidates of the party who had a last election, 6 House of Reps candidates in the last election. Several members of the House, several candidates.
They all left with you.
Of course, the records are there. The lists are there. Several local, leaders in their own rights. A member of the board of trustee leaving to say, I am leaving. I couldn't have paid them. I couldn't have forced them. They have a cause. And these are people who are still very politically active. And so we are together and we will begin to forge a direction that will help our people get to the next level, yes.
So on the basis of this Rebuild Imo movement and as a leading member of the opposition, which is effectively what you are in Imo State,
yes.
And the fact that you're now outside the PDP, how do you assess the stewardship of Governor Hope Uzodinma, who took over from you?
I won't talk about him, and I have not spoken about him in a while, so I will not talk about him.
Yeah, but you're a member of the opposition.
I won't talk about that. That's not the essence of this interview.
Okay, well, I'm the one who determines the essence.
Yes, but it's not something I want to talk about.
Okay, let me put it.
It's not the subject of our debate. If we want to talk about that, it's something we can take another day.
Okay, well
I gave you my words that I will speak to you when
Yes.
I said I wasn't going to run for governorship in March last year.
Yeah.
and I kept fit.
Yeah.
That was in spite of...
Although it took a very long
yes,
time,
of course
but you finally got here.
But I'm sure you know the time is right now.
Yeah.
I mean, so it makes sense. So I think let's...
Well, that's about that pragmatic politics,
yes,
isn't it? But let me put it this way, though, because obviously that's an important thing, isn't it?
Yes.
The fact of the state of Imo today. How would you assess the state? Do you think people are happier now than they were when you were in office?
Charles, we'll talk about that on another day.
Right.
Yes.
But are people happier
now? What is
now
important?
than
What
they
is
were?
what is important today is creating awareness that we have a movement that offers a platform to achieve a people's government with democracy, which is government of the people, for the people, and by the people.
Right.
At the central focus, yes.
So you don't want to talk about, you don't want to, because I mean, on the one hand, and I don't mean to push it too much.
Charles, you know me well. That you know that I said is a subject for yet.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is that what I'm trying to understand is why you would not talk critically about the state of your state when in fact you're telling us that you're trying to create a new organization and a new system that would take the state from where it is to a higher level. I mean, you'd have to assess where it
Charles,
is.
my political
before you
movement
move
and
on.
I agreed when I accepted to be part of this interview, and I said to them, we're going to discuss about why we left the People's Democratic Party. And I mean, we person, I said to you, we. And so we agree on what to do. Like when we take a decision, I will say to them, look, ladies and gentlemen, how do we pursue our political career from here? So it's important that people, you carry, you are expressing their desires and you keep to that. And so in line with whom you are, Emeka, you know what I mean, Charles? So I think we should do that.
Right, okay. Well, let's go beyond Imo State.
Yes.
Let's respect the fact that you said, you did say before we started talking that you didn't want to talk about it. Although I thought it was important to bring it up. But let's go beyond that. What about on the national level? What about the government of President Bola Tinubu? It's coming up to 1 year since he's been in office. What would your assessment be of that government?
Charles, obviously, I know several Nigerians are watching this program, and I like to be on lane. We'll have time to talk about the...
Basically, you don't want to talk about the APC.
Yeah, we'll talk about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I didn't support him in the last election.
You didn't?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I did not vote for him. I voted for Atiku Abubakar and had remained on track in that regard. I had just left the People's Democratic Party, and we'll look at the future. And time will come, obviously, when we shall evaluate. And by that time, I would have been prepared because I want to speak on issues rightfully the way they are. I want to talk about the legislature. I want to talk about the executive. I want to talk about issues of governance, and I should have my facts before I speak, yes.
Well, I mean, I doubt if you don't have your facts. You're a very smart politician.
As I am.
But let me ask you this. Would you vote for Atiku Abubakar again in 2027? Or would you perhaps... Because, I mean, there's been, as I said, I don't mean to keep belaboring the point, but you're someone who is very politically pragmatic. I mean, Atiku is a lot of people would say is past his sell-by date now when it comes, as we look towards 2027.
What if we don't...
sorry, go on.
What if we don't belong to the same political party by that time? Today I've left the PDP,
right,
and he's still in PDP. And so the future is pregnant.
But in terms of assessing the people who are on that presidential level, what do you think of someone like Peter Obi?
Are you sure I wouldn't want to run?
Well, I mean, I would certainly not be surprised if you didn't.
There are good candidates, and 2027 is still very pregnant, and still some time to go. And you know, it's there's a thin line when I leave the central focus of this discussion and begin to talk. I mean, it could be thought. I'm not here to advance anyone's cause. I'm here to speak on the issue of my departure from the People's Democratic Party.
Yeah. And on your political future.
Yes, on my political
as well.
future, yes.
And
obviously I'm going to have associates.
Right.
And as we have those associates, we begin to define what the future looks like.
Right.
In the last election, I was chairman of the campaign council in Imo for PDP, and I advocated for my party to win. And in the Southeast, I thought of a formula that could work on. But here we are. And so we'll begin to look at the future, and central to it will be like I said, the national political climate, one, and two, the base at home. Where does that leave us? So what do we do? And what's the prevailing circumstance and situation? What do I do in the best interests of my people? That would define the way forward. And you won't be left in the dark.
Well, I certainly hope not. But you mentioned that it is possible that you might even think of running. The reason I'm asking you, okay, let's not go there.
No, the point I am
Right.
making, the point is very simple. I said that you do not know who will run for presidency.
No, I
and who will
understand
not
that.
run for I mean,
Yeah.
that's
As you said, the future is
yes,
pregnant.
so the future is very
Right.
pregnant. So
Although
it's-
in today's world, you can tell what the pregnancy is. You see what I'm saying? So it's not in a scientific world.
Yes,
These things are
yes,
fairly
yes,
predictable
yes,
now.
yes, yes.
But what if there's been a lot of talk about all these major parties merging into one? What do you think about that?
well, I've heard of that.
Well, I would imagine that you're part of that discussion.
No, fact, I don't think you see me in any major meeting. But fact of the matter is that if the opposition parties must present a credible, must present opposition to the ruling party, there's need for them to come together. Now, how they go about it, it means that people have to bury their respective individual ambition and be realistic with what they are doing. I mean, they'll get to that. It's something that could be very healthy for the political system. Yes.
But obviously that's part of your consideration as you watch politics evolving. I mean, whether or not you might join such a party.
Several considerations.
Right.
Again, I will talk with my base. And I have significant associates across the country. So we'll talk and we'll look at what we consider the best for this country.
Because obviously if they merge into one party, I mean, you're likely to meet a lot of the, assuming you get into that party, you're likely to meet a lot of the people that, you know, you sort of left at the PDP.
Charles, I have a lot of friends across parties. I have a lot of friends, I mean, by virtue of the opportunities I've had. And so I relate with my friends, and time will take care of those situations. But obviously, the most important that I will remain constant in our political climate. I'm not taking a back seat. I will take a front seat. I'll take a front seat.
And in that front seat, what glimpses can you give us of what we can expect?
Too early to speculate. The one thing that is clear today that Emeka is no more a member of the People's Democratic.
So that's the one thing we can take to the bank.
Yes, that's what you take. Take that to the bank today. Yes.
Right. But there's nothing else that you can give us. But you're having discussions with the APC,
obviously, I have
with
not
the
said,
Labour Party.
I am having, people are talking with me. I am not looking for people are talking with me expectantly. People are talking with me.
You went to visit the governor of Abia State?
He is my friend. He was at my mom's funeral, and we had scheduled to meet, and so it became auspicious. I was in the village, and we spoke on, why don't we have a chat? So,
do you speak to people like Peter Obi from time to time?
Oh yes, I speak. He's my friend. We speak. Yes.
What do you guys talk about?
We talk about everything. he's my friend.
It's difficult to pin you down, but let me ask you this, because obviously you want to look, you're not giving us a look forward, because as you said, the future is pregnant, but you can look backwards. And I'm wondering, I mean, you've been Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives
Yes.
on a national level.
Yes.
You've been Governor of Imo State on a state level. I know you touched on this earlier, but what would you like the people of Imo and Nigerians in general to judge you by in terms of what you were able to deliver for them whilst you were in those offices? I mean, in a comprehensive, cohesive fashion that kind of tells us that you helped to move things forward. I'm not talking about isolated things like you cleaned up the dirt on the streets of, Owerri or whatever. You see what I mean? I mean something on a much more comprehensive level.
First, as Deputy Speaker, Charles, you gave it to us that the 6th Assembly, which I served as Chief Whip, and the 7th Assembly did everything to give meaning to independence of the legislature. And that we did. We had a healthy relationship with the executive, and when we were constructively engaging the executive, which we were in the same political party. And so the efforts of constitutional amendments that we made were very clear. And if you check the records of the 7th Assembly, that had Waziri Tambuwal as Speaker and myself as Deputy Speaker, significant stability and lot that we came with. And as Governor of Imo State, I said, it's difficult to see states who practice autonomy of local governments. I did it. Immediately I became governor, I said very clearly, local governments, you get your funds, and I said those funds will be utilized for development of respective local government areas. To that effect, we began to construct stadia across the 7 local government areas of Imo State. We had a design, and the prototype design was similar. We got land, and I pursued that each LGA was using the resources for stadia. And what was the essence of it? That Imo could be an exporter of talents. We got back to Secretariat to build Secretariat for every local government area. And why were we doing that? Because we found out that many workers were not going to site. There were several ghost workers. So how do we identify who they were? So if you clock in, if there's an office for you, you could do things. Now, before I became governor, just find out, pensions were almost extinct anymore. I gave my word. Some were not paid for 64 months. I said, I will restore pensions immediately. Begin to pay, and then we began to do that. I said to local governments, a worker deserves his wages. And I said to everybody, I got to civil servants, and then we began to pay 100% of salaries, and we refused to borrow a kobo. We borrowed no kobo throughout the period. For the State Assembly, I made the Assembly to work, and they began to make laws for the good governance of the people. Now, by the time I came, transparency was an issue in Imo. I restored sanity. And accountability became the order of the day in our state. So there was a lot of confidence in governance at the state. And I think, talk of infrastructure, we began to fix roads. At one point in time, we got the State Executive Council within a space of 4 months in office to approve the reconstruction, rehabilitation of 19 critical roads in the state. And then we were taking this and we were managing the resources. When I came in, the IGR of the state was 254 million. And incrementally got it rising. By the time I left, we had gone to 1.18 billion.
And that was just in a 7-month period?
Yes, of course.
Right.
There were several things I would not just, in terms of sanitation, we give meaning to life. Health sector, in every facet of governance, education, it was important. We got the international community to see Imo as a state they could do business with. Ease of doing business in the state was put in such a way that Imo became, a base again. Everybody wanted to come to Imo because Imo is naturally supposed to be a tourist state. And so it was important. So once you bring good governance to the people, once you give them confidence, and everything will follow.
And has there been continuity? Okay. On that muted note,
Charles.
Chief Emeka Ihedioha, I want to thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles.
It was absolutely brilliant talking with you.
Charles. Thank you.
And I'm really delighted that you took the time to join us and also kept your word, because you did say that if you were going to give an interview, you would give it to prime time. So thank you very much indeed. Chief Emeka Ihedioha is a CON. He is the former governor of Imo State. He's also the former deputy speaker of the Nigerian House.
I was also
of
Chief Whip, you forgot.
And of course, Chief Whip. I remember when you were Chief Whip. You had a big whip, didn't you?
Yes.
Thank you very much indeed. Very honored to have you.